What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and the first ever DD2 Tower Spotlight. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Flame Aura from the Monk or the Initiate, and it is a very, very strong defense. In fact, the Flame Aura can be used as a primary source of damage in every Chaos tier that doesn't have Cyborgs. And it can be used in Chaos tiers with Cyborgs, with some careful placement and a little bit of Ascension and power. Now, first off, we're going to take a look at endgame Flame Auras and what they will be like once you get to the point where you're all geared out in Chaos 7. Now, essentially, there are two kind of general use builds that work for every single defense in the game, and the Flame Aura is no different. And those two are either using a medallion with a Deadly Strikes or defense range, defense rate, and power transfer shard, or a mark with Deadly Strikes, defense rate, and defense critical damage. You're going to find both of these put out very, very comparable DPS, and either way you go, it is actually enough to clear any of the current Chaos content. Here's a look with the medallion. Just a little quick 10-second run. So it looks like we went between 452,000 to 516,000 DPS. And then let's take a look at it with the mark. The mark has much wider ranges, and you will see varied test results every single time you test the mark. However, you see we are very comparable. That one over there dipped down pretty low, but it wasn't clearly not critting quite as often. Now with the mark, of course, you are basing it off of 100% crit, and if you have an unlucky run and it doesn't crit, it's not going to do as much damage. Most of the time, I end up using a medallion instead. However, the general rule of thumb is going to be to use whichever piece is better. We are all at the mercy of the RNG gods and our luck in what's going to drop. And if you get a better mark than you do medallion, by all means use the mark and you're going to see slightly better results. Now, in addition to that, once you get to Chaos 7 and you're starting to get closer and closer to the defense speed cap, you can consider taking the defense rate shard out. And I've actually been having quite a bit of luck running with Encroaching Flames instead. Flame Aura has a 30% chance to deal 60% more damage. I've been using that quite frequently lately as well, and the numbers are very comparable. Sometimes I'll go up a little bit higher with the Encroaching, sometimes not. Once again, it is based on a little bit of luck in the procs, and you know, the quicker it goes, of course, the more chances you have. Now, when you do drop that defense rate off, you're going to see a dip in the attack speed, where with defense rate in, it's going to attack once every 0.31 seconds. Without defense rate, it's going to attack once every 0.36 seconds. So it's only 5/100ths of a second difference, and a lot of people would say it's not worth using the defense rate shard anymore once you get to that point. Defense range or Deadly Strikes is one shard that I would never for any reason consider changing. On that note as well, I would never consider taking defense crit damage out of a mark or power transfer out of a medallion. Those are must-have shards, and Deadly Strikes and that appropriate shard really needs to be in there. The third shard you can vary for different results. Now, of course, in lower Chaos tiers, you're going to want defense rate and not mess with that Encroaching Flames, as there's going to be a lot bigger gap than just 5/100ths of a second. Now, on that note, everybody's going to ask, but Juice, I'm not yet in Chaos 7 gear, and here is what you will want to do per Chaos tier. Now, first off, Chaos 1, this is assuming a few different things. First off, it's assuming that you have a legendary relic. Figure in Chaos 1, you're going to start seeing these legendary relics much more frequently. And this is assuming you're going to use one. And the reason being is a legendary relic has all 4 of the defense stats on it, where any of the other relics do not. Now in Chaos 1, of course, we're going to be using campaign shards, and the only 2 shards that are available are fortification and defense crit damage. In Chaos 2, we're going to be using campaign and Chaos 1 shards, and then the best combination is going to be the fortification and defense crit damage, plus adding in the destruction shard you get in Chaos 2. Now in Chaos 1 and 2, you're just going to want to stick with the medallion. Don't mess with the marks yet. The reason being is crit, obviously it does not work if you don't have enough crit chance. Now the maximum crit chance that a defense can get currently is 33%. 33% is the cap, yet when we look at my flame auras, I'm only at 30%. Now to get to that 30% cap, you would have to use the defense critical strike shard, which increases your defense crit chance by up to 15%. Now if you use that shard, it would actually free up some Ascension points that you put into defense crit chance. However, most people would agree that it's not worth the shard slot for just 3% crit. With just your natural defense crit chance and the defense crit chance from your Ascension, you're going to get yourself up to 30% crit, and you're only going to be 3% below the cap. Now in Chaos 2, you're going to add that destruction shard into the mix with fortification and defense crit damage. In Chaos 3, you can open it up a bit, and this is why I say that. In Chaos 3, it's really safe to start using a medallion or a mark, whichever piece you have the highest stats on. The reason I say that is in most cases, by the time you make it to Chaos 3, there's a pretty good chance you might be at Ascension level 60 and at that 30% crit. If you're not, there is that defense critical strike shard, which you can put in. It drops in Chaos 2. It's going to give you an additional 15% chance to crit, and your tooltip will go up, and it will reflect a higher number. However, the current crit damage cap and the result you will actually get is only going to be 33% crit. Now in Chaos 3, since you can use that medallion or the mark, you want to use defense critical strike, which is the defense crit strike chance, if you're below 60 Ascension. If you're at 60 Ascension or above, you're going to want to use a medallion with either encroaching flames, destruction, or defense crit, and defense crit damage. Or you're going to want to use a mark, defense crit damage, and encroaching flames. So basically, destruction is going to go with the medallions, defense crit damage is going to go with the marks, and depending on whether or not you are at Ascension level 60, you're going to may or may not want to throw defense critical strike into the mix. Now in Chaos 4, things open up one more time, and the reason being is in Chaos 3, the deadly strikes or defense range shard drops, and that is a crucial shard, and you are going to want lots and lots of those guys. So deadly strikes becomes our mandatory shard from Chaos 4 on up, or as soon as you get it on up in the flame auras. In addition to that, encroaching flames is still a good shard to be using, and if you're using a medallion, you're going to want to go with destruction, and if you're using a mark, you're going to want to go with defense critical damage. Now once again, there's another change in Chaos 5, and Chaos 5 will actually get you to the end-game build that you'll be able to use through Chaos 5, 6, and 7, as the last of the shards you're really going to need for the flame auras drops in Chaos 4, and that is the defense rate shard and the power transfer shard. So from Chaos 7 on, you're going to be sticking with your endgame build, where if you're using a medallion, you want defense range or deadly strikes, defense rate, and power transfer, or if you're using a mark, you're going to want deadly strikes, defense rate, or defense critical damage. Hope this helps answer everyone's questions. The flame arrows can be a lot of fun to use, and they are just insanely effective. Like I said, they do hit ground and air mobs, so it's just kind of a natural choice in endgame in Chaos 7, as the main baddie and our main mob that we have to fight in Chaos 7 is a kobold, or a flying mob with an EMP attached. So defense range, defense rate, and power transfer on a medallion, or defense range, defense rate, and defense critical damage on a mark. And that will get you through all of the current content in the game using the Flame Aura as primary DPS. Now, on that same note, you don't necessarily want to go all Flame Auras and just cover the map with Flame Auras, as Flame Auras do work very well. They play nicely with lots of other defenses. First off, any CC at all you can put inside of a Flame Aura is going to be exceptional. So sand traps, frostbite traps, any sort of slow at all is going to help you out quite a bit. Plus, Flame Auras do provide the necessary requirement for the Ignite combo, which is one of the elemental combos in the game that you get from combining oil and fire naturally. The Ignite combo you can put together from using like the oily harpoons for the ballistas. You can use the oil geyser trap from the Lavamancer. You combine that with the Flame Aura and it is good game for sure. So that will do it for now. Thank you for watching. Click that like button and please subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what tower you want to see spotlighted next, and I will start working on them as soon as I can. Thanks again. See ya.